Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Fresh Fit Fall. This is a series from Maryland Snap Ed all about what's fresh from Maryland farms in the fall and how to keep things moving as we move into cooler weather. Yesterday was the first official day of fall, and I can just absolutely feel the change in the air already. We had a good bit of rain here in central Maryland, and the air just feels a lot cooler. So the change is happening. So welcome if you're joining us for the first time. Welcome back if you've been with us before. As usual, we will respond to questions in the chat or comments in the chat as they come in. We love it if you introduce yourself with your county if you're in Maryland, or your city and state if you're joining us from outside of Maryland. I will let you know I watch that feed on my phone, so the feed comes up better on my phone than it does on the screen. So if it looks like I'm distracted, that's because I'm just watching for your comments. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to introduce Razan Sahuri, who is the project leader and nutrition educator in Howard County, Maryland. So welcome, Razan, and let's get started by talking about what's fresh this fall.
Good morning. So I'm super excited to be here today. I went to my CSA yesterday, or my community supported agriculture program, and I got so many different veggies that I would like to show. So right now, winter squashes, pumpkins are in season, sweet potatoes, like this one, or yams are in season, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, I got fennel, kohlrabi, they're all in season, spaghetti squash, look how nice this is. And finally, root vegetables are in season, and that's what we're talking about today. So we're talking about beets, carrots. You might also find turnips at at the farmers market or your CSA, or parsnip. So they're going to start to pop up more until, I would say, October. And the nice thing is, farmers markets are open until, some of them are open until November, and most of them are open until October.
And the nice thing about root vegetables is not only are they available late in the season, but they also store really well. So they keep for much longer than sort of the more delicate, soft and squishy things or leafy things. So let's talk a little bit about what a root vegetable is. What are we talking about there?
So if you look at the vegetable, usually, there's different parts of the plants that we eat. So usually a root vegetable, the root, this part, in our case right now, it's the beet. It's usually under the ground or under the soil. And that's what we eat. And then we have the greens, which are the stem and leaves. And the nice thing about root vegetables is we can actually eat the greens. Usually people cut them, toss them, and just end up eating the root. But with that said, you can use the greens just like you would use your spinach, kale, Swiss chard. So you can put it in your, salad fresh. You can eat it fresh, or you can cook it in your stews, soups, casseroles, even your smoothies. So just think about it the way you would think of spinach. In my culture, we do dolma, which is stuffed grape leaves. We stuff them with rice and vegetables, or rice and meat. And what I do is I actually take the leaf and stuff those instead. They taste a little bit different, but it's something that is in season and available.
Wonderful. Yeah. And because the root vegetables, every plant has roots, but we don't eat the roots of all vegetables. But the ones we do eat are the root vegetables that they store starches and sugars in their roots, in this thickened root part. And so that really influences how we use them culinarily.
Right. And that's why we eat them in the fall, because it takes all summer for the starches and energy to get stored in the roots, for the plant to sustain itself during winter. But usually, yeah, we eat it during that time for that reason. And on another note, since it's a root, usually, it has more dirt, more soil. It's recommended when you clean it to scrub it very well. You can use a brush, a vegetable brush, to scrub it. You don't need to use a brush. You can use a sponge. You can use anything, but make sure you scrub it really well. If you scrub it well and it's clean, sometimes things like carrots, you don't really need to peel if you don't like to. Things like beets, it is quite thick skin, so you would rather, peel it, or after you cook it, you can peel it.
Yeah, beets are much easier to peel after they're cooked. So wonderful. Thanks for that. I think the great thing about these root vegetables is because they have those stored starches and sugar, they're very hearty, they're very satisfying to eat in the fall, and they also have natural sweetness that really comes out in certain preparations, which I think leads us well into the recipe we're going to be making today.
Absolutely. So for today, we're making roasted root vegetables with maple glaze, and we're using beets and carrots. But with that said, you can use any root vegetable that you have. The trick here is just to cut the vegetables the same size so they cook equally. So I'm going to start with the ingredients, and then we'll go ahead and talk about directions. So for the ingredients, we need 3 carrots washed, peeled, and sliced, and I'm going to show you in a minute. And then we need beets. The nice thing about beets, usually beets are red in color, but there are some beets that are golden. So these are the ones I found from my CSA. They're golden, which is also nice. We need salt and pepper and a little bit of maple syrup and oil, and I'll walk you through that. But for the carrots, when you peel carrots, you can use a peeler. An easy thing to do is to peel away from you, just in case, to prevent any injuries, so you don't peel your finger or your skin by mistake. But it's so easy to peel. Again, you don't have to do it. I know, Krista, yesterday you mentioned that you don't peel your carrots. So, it's personal preference. You can peel the carrots and then just cut them equal parts.
And while you're doing that, I'd love to ask our viewers if you have a favorite root vegetable that you like to roast or prepare in any other way.
For the beets, instead you can use a peeler, but I personally prefer a knife. I feel like it's easier to peel it using a knife, just like so. Be gentle, just in case. And the thing with beets, just to be mindful of it, is that it stains. So if you're wearing, let's say, white, it might stain your clothes if you get some beets on it. And that's why sometimes they use beets as natural coloring.
Right.
If you want to turn something pink, you can just use your beets, or in this case, orangey.
So Jessica offered up that she loves sweet potatoes, which would be a wonderful addition to this, or you could swap it in for either the carrots or the beets. And she prefers radishes roasted versus fresh, which I think is a great point.
Right.
Radishes have a little bit of a bite to them. If that's your thing, then eating them raw is great, but they mellow out when you cook them. And it's also something we encourage in our nutrition education classes is for kids and adults, just because you've tried something before, maybe if you try it prepared in a different way, you might find that you like it. Tina also votes for sweet potatoes, and Lynn likes beets as one of her favorite root vegetables. I have to say parsnips are up there for me. They're such an interesting flavor.
Nice. And we have a nice parsnip soup, apple parsnip soup on our website. That's nice. So what you will do now, after you cut your 3 carrots and 3 beets, so basically equal parts of beets to carrots, you just put them in a bowl so we can mix them. And then for that, we are going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and we're going to add 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, any oil you have, and just give them a quick mix.
And this is a flexible recipe. As you can see, you don't have to measure things precisely.
Nope.
You could add other herbs to flavor. You could add garlic. I think that would be delicious. Onions get very sweet. That's another root that has a lot of flavor you could add. So it's just it's really about a method rather than a strict recipe.
Absolutely. And then you can bring your baking dish and add some spray on it. If you don't have spray, that's fine. You can just add oil and wipe it. So you spray it and you're just going to dump this. Look at the colors with red, even, if you use red beets or golden beets, they look great in this recipe. You preheat your oven for 450 and put them there for around 20 minutes until they cook halfway. So that's what I'm doing now. And with TB Magic, that's 20 minutes in. So they're not fully cooked. At this point, you take them out, but be careful, it's going to be hot. And then you add 2 tablespoons of maple syrup to it. So you add your maple syrup and you give it a little mix and you put it back in the oven for 20 minutes or until you feel that the vegetables are becoming soft and cooked, more cooked. So
that maple syrup's going to add flavor. It's going to bring out the sweetness, the natural sweetness of the vegetables. And then when you cook it in the oven, it's going to caramelize. So that sort of brownness, that toasty flavor is just absolutely delicious. So wonderful. So while that finishes cooking, we're going to transition to our Fresh Fit tip. So this is a new feature in Fresh Fit Fall, where we're talking about physical activity. Fall is a great time to be active. It is cooler weather. It's inspiring to be outdoors or moving your body more, but it can also get a little tricky because the days are getting shorter and our schedules are really busy with kids back in school. So let's bring up our Fresh Fit tip for the week. A dress up, dress down relay with your kids. This is something I played when I was a kid. I don't know if everyone else did, but if this sounds a little kooky, we have a video to show what this might look like in action. So let's take a look at our dress up, dress down relay. So that was our Fresh Fit tip for the week. Thank you to Christine Main, one of our wonderful SNAP-Ed educators who recruited some local talent to demonstrate that kids love putting on, they love being silly, they love putting on adult clothes. So, if everybody's stir crazy, you can do that inside. And have some fun with it as you celebrate the start of fall. And then as a bonus, you'll remember where all your hats and gloves are and get to see if you need to buy any new for this year. So, all right, so let's go ahead and look at our finished product. Razan, let's see those beautiful root veggies.
So here they are. Look at this glaze. The nice thing about this dish, it works perfect as a side dish. And what you can do is after you cook it, let it cool, or if you have leftovers, you can add those to a salad and you can add kale to it. That's what I'm thinking of doing today. Add some greens, maybe kale, and turn it into some sort of a roasted vegetable salad. It's perfect, now with the holidays coming and all the fall activities, this is a great side dish. And as you mentioned, it's very versatile, so you can add to it any other root vegetable or, other fall veggies. Just make sure they're roughly cut the same size so they all cook the same. Look, I love the glaze. It looks so pretty with the glaze. And when this batch, I used a regular red beet versus golden for the ones we prepared together.
Great. Well, that looks wonderful. So Look at your supermarket for root vegetables. There should be a ton right now. Also, don't forget the farmers markets. Many markets, not all, but many markets are open until Thanksgiving. We will post the link to the Maryland Farmers Market directory with the disclaimer that you should always verify that information, as some dates might change or locations on occasion. And if you have SNAP benefits or WIC checks, please make sure you take advantage of the farmers markets, because very often in many markets that accept benefits, you also get some incentive dollars where you can double your dollars. So we'll post a link to the location of the farmers markets that accept or that provide Maryland market money to match SNAP or WIC dollars that are spent there. So take advantage of all that's fresh this fall at the farmers market and keep it fresh in your house by staying active. And let's take a look at our upcoming episode. I almost forgot that part. All right, so next week we're going to be talking fruit. We're going to be talking about pears, which are such a wonderful fruit and such a highlight of the fall, because they really are. It's really the only time of year I feel like you can really enjoy the best that there is with pears. Carrots, we'll do a specific highlight on carrots on October 7th, October 14th, apples, what's more fall than apples. And this will be going through the week before Thanksgiving. If you have questions, you can reach out to us at eatsmartmd@umd.edu. If you're watching this live on Facebook, you've already found our page, but make sure you've liked our page and turn on notifications so you see when we go live. And speaking of finding us on the web, you can also find lots of information on our Eat Smart webpage, which is extension.umd.edu/eatsmart. This is a new webpage of about 6 or 8 months ago, but that's where all of our recipes are, and you can search by ingredient. So if you've gotten a great deal on something at the store, at the farmer's market, search by ingredient for great recipes to use. There's our Facebook page. We have a YouTube channel where we archive all the episodes of Fresh Fit Fall, as well as our other Facebook Live series. Lots of nutrition education lessons if you have kids that might be interested in those. And then we have an Instagram feed as well. So wherever you take your social media, hopefully you can find us there. Well, we thank you so much. And like I said, enjoy all that's fresh in the fall. Keep moving, and we will see you here next week. Bye-bye.